Hello and welcome to working with effects. So the first effect we are going to be working on today is the drop shadow, effect. Okay, so what this effect basically does is that it places a shadow behind whatever it has been given, and that gives it, a sort of elevation, makes whatever that was given the shadow, whatever object was given the shadow, look a little bit higher than the page and gives it this nice 3D look. So just to begin with, um, having a text here, let's start with this text. Having this text here, let's give it a color, say blue. Let me go red. Too much blue back. So let's say you're having this here, okay, and what you want to do is that give it a bit of a shadow behind it. All you have to do is go to the effects panel and choose stylize. The first option is drop shadow. Oops, sorry. Make sure you've selected on this first before you go to effect, stylize, and drop shadow. So immediately you can see that whatever text is here is being reflected behind it, and um, it's looking as though there is a light source coming from this lower part, and it's shining on it, and then the shadow is coming at the back there. Pretty cool, huh? So you could actually move this with the X offset and Y offset. Make sure this is selected on, this preview is selected on. Once it's selected on, you can see your changes in real time. So the higher you move the Y offset, you see it keeps going lower, 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 lower. The higher you move the X offset, it keeps moving to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. Um, I know it's a bit counterintuitive for the Y offset because from the Cartesian plane, lower should have actually been more negative, but once you get it, you get it. It's not so difficult. So I'm just going to leave this at 7. You can do 7.3 or 6.3. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then color. Color is at your own. Sorry, blur first. Blur is how sharp the edges look. Okay, so you see it is quite okay. Let me just move it down to 1 millimeter. So 1 millimeter, you see that it's a lot more sharper than it was when it was 2, down to 0, and then it's very, very defined now. You can actually see the whole text again. So this also you also play with until you feel it's okay. For color, what I recommend is that you choose a color that is close to what is already on top here. So there's a dark blue. You should be looking at something also around that range of blue. Something around that range of blue. You get it? So it's the colors are much more congruent. They match with each other. Or you can go for darkness. If what you're working on top was a dark thing, you can go for darkness, but usually I just stay with color. And once you are done, okay, and voila, that's it. Can be a headline for you. Okay, secondly, let's do a few shapes. So I have this, I have an ellipse. Let me make it a circle, and then let me also add a star. Okay, so three shapes. So for the first one, let me give you a different color, green. Okay, so green, effect, again, stylize, drop shadow, and you see immediately whatever last setting you had, it applies it. um, if you want to make changes, you can, but for most times they'll probably, if you like, they'll probably like it again. So just keep that in mind. As I said, I recommend that you go for something in that same color range, something greeny. If you are if you are satisfied with that. Oh, I didn't speak about opacity. Opacity is how dark it is. At 100% opacity, well, very dark. At 10% opacity, quite light, almost invisible. I usually like to stay between 50 to 70. So you can just leave at 55. Works for me. Blur can be a bit more. Once you're fine, you're fine. You just click on OK. This, give it yellow. The same thing effects. One thing to note is that when you are doing a lot, you can actually just click on apply drop shadow and it gives it to you. If you are fine with that, you move. Let me give this brown effects, drop shadow, and change this to something browny. We good. Okay, so you're having all this. If you are fine, you are fine with it. But this is how drop shadows work, both for shapes and for texts. If you have any comments, drop them down and I'll attend to that. Thank you.